Someone in your life will die, and you already know exactly what happens next. A call gets made. A funeral gets planned. Flowers, a casket, a service. It's automatic. Nobody in the room is inventing this from scratch. Your ancestors didn't have that luxury. When someone in their group died 100,000 years ago, there was no template. Someone had to decide, for the first time in the history of anything, what you actually do with a body once the person inside it is gone. Snorts, and what they came up with is stranger, more elaborate, and more emotionally complicated than almost anyone assumes. The evidence buried in the ground is about to completely change what you think you know about when humans first started believing in something after death. Let's start with Shanidar Cave in Iraq. In the 1960s, archaeologist Ralph Seletsky excavated a Neanderthal burial there and found unusually high concentrations of ancient pollen clustered around the body. His interpretation, later called the flower burial, suggested Neanderthals had deliberately placed flowers on the dead, an act with no survival function whatsoever. Flowers don't feed you. They don't protect you. They serve exactly one purpose, meaning. That interpretation has been debated for decades. Some researchers argue burrowing rodents introduced the pollen, not people. But here's what almost never gets mentioned in that debate. Regardless of the flowers, the body itself was undeniably, deliberately buried. Placed in a shallow pit, positioned carefully, not discarded, not left for scavengers. Someone made the decision to dig, to place, to cover. And that raises the question that matters more than the flowers ever could. Why bother? Digging a grave by hand, without tools, takes real time and energy. Time that could go toward finding food, building shelter, watching for predators. A group under real survival pressure spending resources on something with zero practical return is genuinely strange behavior. Anthropologist Paul Pettit, who studies the archaeology of death, argues that intentional burial marks a fundamental shift in how early humans understood their own existence. Once a species starts positioning a corpse, marking it, returning to the same locations, you're looking at something psychologically enormous. Not necessarily a fully formed religion, but a felt sense that this person still mattered. At Sungir, a site in Russia dated to roughly 34,000 years ago, this idea gets pushed even further. Archaeologists found two children buried together, head to head, covered in thousands of individually crafted ivory beads, each one requiring an estimated hour of labor. Thousands of hours poured into decorating bodies that could give nothing back. They were also buried with spears made from straightened mammoth tusks, an incredibly difficult technological feat, buried, never to be used again by anyone living. Archaeologist Randall White, who studied the Sungir beadwork, suggests the sheer scale of labor points to something beyond ritual obligation. It points to grief, organized, channeled, made physical. Each bead functioning as something close to what we'd now call an act of mourning made tangible. So why place a spear in a grave if you know the person inside can't use it? Psychologist Paul Bloom's research into what he calls natural-born dualism offers a clue. Bloom found that humans are cognitively predisposed, from early childhood, to intuitively separate the physical body from the sense of mind or self inhabiting it. Children across cultures with no religious instruction at all will often reason that a dead person's biological functions have stopped, but their thoughts and memories somehow persist. If that intuition is baked into how human cognition naturally develops, it explains why burial practices implying continuation appeared so early and so far apart geographically, without one culture teaching another. The belief may not have spread. It may have emerged independently, over and over, because it's simply how a human mind processes the death of someone it loved. There's also a colder, social explanation running alongside the emotional one. Funeral rituals, even elaborate ones, give a group a structured way to process collective shock, reaffirm bonds among the living, and mark a clear transition so daily function can eventually resume. The thousands of hours at Sungir weren't just about the two dead children. They were for everyone who was still alive and had to keep functioning afterward. Here's the part that should land differently once you sit with it. You have never had to decide from nothing what death means or what to do about it. You inherited an answer from thousands of generations who already did that terrifying original work for you. Somebody, in a cave or on a cold Russian plain 34,000 years ago, looked at a body that used to be a person they loved and had to invent from scratch a way to make that loss bearable enough to keep living. No script, no tradition, just people standing over a body, deciding together that this could not simply be nothing. That instinct is still fully alive in you right now. It's in the flowers you'd bring to a funeral without ever questioning why. It's in the impulse to keep a photograph, a voicemail, a piece of clothing that still smells like someone. It's in the exact same place it was 34,000 years ago, and thousands of years before that in a cave in Iraq. Somebody decided grief needed a shape. And you are still, right now, using shapes they invented. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. It costs nothing, and it helps this kind of storytelling keep reaching people. See you in the next one.